I was diagnosed with a rare condition called Stone Woman Syndrome. Medically, it's referred to as sexual insensitivity. I discovered I had this condition on my wedding night with my husband. No matter how hard we tried, my body showed no reaction at all. My husband thought it was because I was too nervous since it was my first time. My husband is my first love, and I had no experience in this area, so I also thought it was just a psychological issue on my part. But even after we tried many more times, we still ended up failing. I was very discouraged, and even brought up the idea of divorce to my husband. That night, my husband and I cried together the whole night. In the end, with his comfort, I gave up on the idea of divorce and decided to go to the hospital for treatment. When my husband and I walked into the gynecologist's office and saw that the doctor inside was actually a man, I stopped in my tracks. I know that male gynecologists are very common nowadays, but the thought of exposing my most private parts to a complete stranger was still hard for me to accept. Dr. Wang is an authority in this field. Seeing the hopeful look in my husband's eyes, I finally took that step forward. Dr. Wang looked to be about 40, with a center-parted hairstyle and gold-rimmed glasses. He was very serious when asking about my condition, which for some reason made me feel a bit relieved. His diagnosis was sexual insensitivity, and he also mentioned a more colloquial term for Stone Woman Syndrome. He told us that this condition is really difficult to treat, with a cure rate of less than 5%. After that, he started talking about some terms like neurosensory crossover, which I couldn't really understand. What I roughly gathered was that he needed to conduct a more comprehensive examination on me in order to come up with a treatment plan. I knew very well what a comprehensive examination meant. Out of the corner of my eye, I glanced at my husband. He didn't look as embarrassed as I had imagined. Instead, his brows were tightly furrowed, and his eyes were completely filled with worry. The person on the other side is a doctor. To a doctor, examining a patient's body is just like a factory worker inspecting a circuit board. I tried hard to comfort myself this way, to dispel the last bit of hesitation in my heart. Take off your pants and lie down on that chair inside. As my husband walked out of the office, Dr. Wang pointed to the screen beside me and got up to close the door. The moment I heard the door lock, my heart sank with panic, as if I were falling into an abyss. But when I looked at Dr. Wang and saw him expressionlessly taking instruments out of the cabinet, putting on thin gloves, and disinfecting the instruments with alcohol, I felt I was just overthinking it. Pressing my lips together, I walked behind the screen. Dr. Wang said, the chair he mentioned is a kind of semi-reclining chair with tall stands on either side. There are rotary clasps both in the middle of the chair and on the stands. When you lie down, your legs will be spread apart, and if the clasps are fastened, they will lock your waist and calves, securing my lower body in place. What made me feel relieved was that there was a white curtain in the middle of the chair. This way, during the examination, I couldn't see Dr. Wang, and Dr. Wang couldn't see me either. It made things a bit less awkward for me. I'm going to secure you now to prevent any involuntary movements during the examination that might cause the equipment to hurt you. Dr. Wang's voice came from behind the curtain. The light was behind him over there, so I could see Dr. Wang's shadow on the curtain. I responded. Then I saw Dr. Wang unfasten a buckle. I tried to move, but my waist and calves were tightly restrained. I couldn't move my lower body at all. A bright white light suddenly came on, and Dr. Wang's shadow disappeared from the curtain. I knew Dr. Wang had turned on the examination light. I couldn't see what Dr. Wang was doing, but the warm, slightly rough sensation let me imagine that he must be carefully examining my private area. Maybe it was just psychological, but I felt as if the whole world suddenly went quiet. All I could hear was my own heartbeat and Dr. Wang's breathing on the other side of the curtain. 1 minute, 3 minutes, or maybe even 10 minutes, I had no idea how much time had passed. The shame of being observed by a strange man completely disrupted all my senses. Suddenly, I heard the sound of someone swallowing, and then Dr. Wang's breathing grew heavier. A vivid image flashed through my mind. Dr. Wan, on the other side of the curtain, was staring at me intently. There was no clinical detachment in his eyes, only a man's burning passion for a woman. Instinctively, I tried to clamp my legs together, but was met with overwhelming resistance. There's nothing wrong with the external structure. Dr. Wang's voice came through, steady and devoid of any emotion. When I listened more closely, I realized Dr. Wang's breathing was calm and even, and suddenly I found myself ridiculous. For Dr. Wang, who sees the same thing every day, how could he possibly have any physiological reaction to me? Alright, next I'll be checking the internal area. If you feel any discomfort, let me know immediately, understood? After I responded to Dr. Wang, I heard the faint clink of metal, followed by a cold sensation and pain. Dr. Wen, does it hurt? I took a deep breath, my whole body tensing up. This was the same feeling and reaction I had every time things started with my husband. The cold and pain have subsided. There may be some internal rigidity. Take a deep breath and try to relax your body as much as possible. I took several deep breaths in a row, but Dr. Wan still told me to try to relax as much as possible. I'll light a calming incense for you. The physical and chemical effects will help you relax. Then I'll give you an external massage to loosen up your internal muscles. With the flick of a lighter and its crisp click, a small box was placed on the little table to my left. The box was made of wood, and its lid had many small holes in it. Wisps of white smoke drifted out from it, and at the same time, I caught the scent of sandalwood. The fragrance was pleasant and almost magical. It gave me a sense of weightlessness, as if my body were gently floating upward. Yes, just try to relax as much as possible. Dr. Wang's voice became somewhat ethereal and full of magnetism, as if someone were whispering comfort in my ear with something in their mouth, inexplicably calming me. Then I felt something warm land on my lower abdomen. Judging by the sensation and shape, it seemed to be 2 fingers. The fingers were a bit moist and slippery, gently tracing circles on my lower abdomen. After about 10 circles, they paused below my navel, then slowly moved downward. My body was gradually becoming stiff, but this time it wasn't from resistance. Instead, I felt a tingling sensation I never experienced before. My breathing grew heavier beyond my control, and it felt as if something was about to escape from my throat. I quickly reached out to cover my mouth, but that shy, muffled moan still escaped into the air before I could. Keep relaxing, he said. He asked, Can you feel it now? I felt both embarrassed and awkward, and even a bit annoyed, thinking that Dr. Wang was deliberately teasing me. But on second thought, a doctor's examination isn't the same as an interaction between a man and a woman. From his perspective, it's necessary and appropriate to ask at the right time. I tried hard to suppress any sound, but when I spoke, my voice still rose and fell like ocean waves, just like the female lead in those adult films my husband and I watched to get in the mood. I was so ashamed I wished I could just disappear into a hole in the ground. The examination didn't stop. That cold sensation came again, but this time, instead of pain, it was a feeling of fullness. This sparked a glimmer of hope. In me, maybe my symptoms, well, maybe they weren't that serious after all. But Dr. Wang's next words made me feel like I'd fallen into an ice-cold abyss. He asked me several times in a row if I could feel anything, and each time I answered no. He finally said the situation wasn't very optimistic and that it was highly likely that part of the nerve had become necrotic. I nervously asked him if there was still any chance of a cure, but on the other side of the curtain, there was only a long, heavy silence. I tried my best. 30 minutes later, Dr. Wang first undid the clasps, the ones securing my feet and waistband, then took away the calming incense beside me. When I had put my pants back on and was sitting once again in front of Dr. Wang's desk, looking at him, I felt so embarrassed that I wished I could bury my head under the table as I solemnly explained my condition to my husband. When I came out just now, I noticed that the sound of the zipper came from the bag, where that soft examination instrument was kept. And the reason Dr. Wang had to come to the front was because that instrument is very soft and needs to be very close in order to be inserted for the examination. It turned out much better than I had expected. The external medicine has already been applied. For the next 3 days, avoid any strenuous activity and remember to take the medication I prescribed on time every day. Dr. Wang said, if there are no unexpected issues, after one more follow-up, you should be back to normal. Thank you, Dr. Wang. My husband thanked him excitedly. At the same time, Dr. Wang wrapped his arm around my waist. When I felt my husband's hand fall on my waist, that slight warmth felt like an electric current, sweeping through my whole body from my waist, making me instinctively tighten my legs. My husband seemed to notice that I had tightened my legs. When I met his gaze, it was as if there was a fire burning in his eyes, truly burning. On the way home, my husband drove very fast. What was originally a 40-minute drive only took us a little over 20 minutes. As soon as we got home, my husband locked the door behind us, and then I felt my mouth being sealed. We moved from the entryway to the sofa. Unlike before, this time I felt as if every inch of my husband's skin was radiating electricity hot and powerful, making it impossible for me to resist. My husband held my breath with both hands, his gaze intense and passionate, but at that moment, I suddenly remembered Dr. Wang's medical advice. He said that this feeling now was like opening Pandora's box for me. For the first time, I experienced how the body could bring such an ultimate sensation.